Mm. What's up, guys? It's Rick Ginn, and you are on the Rick Ginn YouTube channel where we always talk about wholesaling. And today I'm going to talk about the number one reason why most people don't grow in their wholesaling business. Now, this could be before you even do your first wholesale deal, or maybe you've been doing this for a year or two and you're just stuck and you're stagnant. Here's the really cool part about this. I can give you perspective from both. So I remember the first day I started in wholesaling in 2003, and I can walk you through my stagnant growth patterns and the things I had to fix, the things I had to let go to really truly grow and prosper in wholesaling. So if you want to go on along this journey with me, we're going to go here, use the comments. I put a link in there if you guys want to join me on the live. Let's jump into how you avoid getting your business stagnant in growth. So listen, everybody kind of goes through this, and I'm not even going to go by order of importance. I'll save kind of the best for last to a point, but here's what we're going to do. Now, the first thing in wholesaling to get going is you have to be of the mindset that you are going to learn. If you absolutely beat everybody up and question everything and you want to do everything your way, there's nothing I can tell you in this video that's going to help you out. So the first thing you have to adjust is you have to go into wholesaling with an attitude of learning. And the only way you can learn is you have to lose your ego. Your ego is your conscious mind's ability to always be right, to be the authority, and most importantly, make you feel important and recognize. You see, if you engage learning wholesaling and your ego is fully activated like it is the rest of your life, you're never going to learn anything. In fact, you can't learn anything when your ego is activated. Why? Because your ego is completely self-serving. And I teach this. This took me a long time to understand in wholesaling. But if you're always right and you're always talking from a point of authority, you can't learn. You don't learn. It's not even wholesaling related. This goes for anything you do in life. If you are constantly going to be right, if you always want to up somebody and you always want to be the center of attention, you will be the most interesting person, but you will also be the most broke person in the crowd. Because the minute you can't receive information and learn from people that are better than you, you're kind of an idiot. And I'm just telling you, I've been in this exact position. And once you let your ego go and you just absorb information and you take a ton of action, wholesaling will change for you. But if you think you got it figured out, especially a brand new wholesaler, and you're going to do it your way, God bless you, is the fastest way to become broke. I'm telling you, you got to lose your ego. In fact, Gandhi's got one of the best quotes I could ever find about your ego. It says, when the ego dies, the soul awakens. When the ego dies, the soul's awakened. Why is that important? Because you just can't receive and you can't learn. Honestly, you can't love other people. You can't help people. And you definitely can't feel people's pain when you're in your egocentric self. Remember, ego is the most selfish thing you can have within your body. Now, we're all hardwired for it. I don't know why it's there. I think it's God's reminder to humble us and knock us back down. But this thing right here, I talk about this all the time. If you don't find a way to lose your ego, that you have no shot in wholesaling. In fact, I could tell you this in anything in life. An entertainer, a singer, a dancer, a mortgage broker, a real estate agent, a wholesaler. And you guys know the ones, the ego people can't stop talking about themselves. Everything's perfect. Everything's great. Everything's fantastic. And they do 90% of the talking and about 10% of the listening. And when you talk your entire life, you cannot learn. Now, there is a time to talk, but when you're trying to learn a new skill set, that's when you keep your mouth shut. The only way to keep your mouth shut is just bury your ego. And the sooner you learn this, the better. In the beginning, I did keep my mouth shut. I learned more in the first 2 years of wholesaling. It's 2 years after I thought I knew everything about wholesaling, and we're going to talk about that. Because if you think you know everything, you are not open to learning, and you don't want to do that. So you have to figure that. So that's generalization number one. It is so true today. It's actually more true right now than it ever has been before. The second one, and you all are guilty of this. I know I was brutally guilty of this in the first 5 years of my wholesaling. And you've got to understand, let me slide this up here. No, nobody cares about your excuses. Not, no. So, like when you come on here and like you complain about something, or you complain to your parents, you complain to your business partner, you complain to the world, you complain to the bartender on the other side of the bar, they really don't care what you're saying. I'm sorry to tell you the truth. I found this out the hard way. Actually, nobody gives a crap about your excuses. They don't care. They're never going to care. And the sooner you realize this, the easier it is for you to actually accomplish something in wholesaling. So every time you bitch, complain, and have an excuse, it is for you. And that's how you feed that ego, that thing we talked about before. And if you don't understand this, you'll keep complaining and bitching. If you don't believe me, just check it out. Watch the people you complain to, watch their face, their eyes. They'll start to look away. Why? Because they really don't care. I'm sorry. People care maybe with their direct family, maybe their parents, their siblings, their kids. But honestly, outside of that, they really don't care. And for the most part, when parents hear their kids complaining the whole time, what do? They just start to ignore you. Listen, excuses are a dime a dozen, guys. Everybody has one. And excuses are validation for your ego to be right. So if you killed your ego and you stop giving excuses, you can get anything you want done in life. But if you engage your ego to be right and then you make up this long list of excuses, the reason I couldn't cold call today, the reason that contract failed, the reason why my bank account is overdrawn, the reason I can't get out of bed today. Honestly, you can find an excuse for every situation in life. So here is a way around it. Just stop with the excuses. They are just your story to tell yourself, to make yourself feel better, to make you feel like you're right, but you're actually wrong. Every now and then there will be an excuse, but stuff happens out of your control and you just move on. You can't sit there and complain about it forever. In fact, I'm going to tell you this right now. You have two choices with excuses. You either take an excuse or you take an action. You can't do both. Anytime someone gives you an excuse, it is like a permission slip. So I don't have to do nothing. And you got to give me a self-fulfilling answer and tell me why I'm right and why I need to avoid doing this. I'm never going to give you that pass. So if you know that up front, you can't do both. You're either going to do an excuse, you're going to do an action. Which type are you? Once you realize excuses are nothing more than a waste of time, and honestly, when you're having the excuse talk with yourself internally with your ego, it's even more detrimental because the biggest person you have to battle in wholesaling is always going to be you. It's not going to be anybody else. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be Zach. It's not going to be anyone else. You have got to understand that. So if you understand that, nobody cares about your excuses. So next time you're like crying on someone, kind of give them their excuse. They don't care. Excuses were designed when you were little kids and you scratched your knees or you went to the dentist and something uncomfortable happened. You cry to mommy or your daddy and you just say, listen, I didn't like that. I don't want to do it again. Blah, blah. But guess what? You're now what we call adulting. And guess what you have to do? You're just going to have to suck it up. You are actually going to have to do stuff that is not overly pleasant. And you're going to have to do it with a smile on your face. And if you can't accept that, fine. Go live in your parents' basement. I don't know what you think's more painful. I'd rather do the unpleasant thing and go have my own place than do nothing and live in my parents' basement. And I'm not directing anybody who's living in their parents' basement, but the reality is way too many people are staying there. So nobody cares, excuse or an action. Now, we are going to get into the next part here. This one would probably be, God, I think this is the biggest thing that holds almost everybody back on this live stream or anyone who's even attempted wholesaling. You ready? Where did I put it? You're too concerned what other people think about you. Now, I'm not a hypocrite. I've literally fit in this mold for a good 5 to 7 years. Why? I was really concerned and I always wanted someone's okay for any type of new wholesaling technique I did. But I'm here to tell you, you don't stop it. Absolutely cut this one out. This is the most toxic part of you asking other people for permission. So if me and Zach are going to ask you to do it, the reality is 95% of the world won't do. Why do you think 95% of the world's going to support you in wholesaling? They're not. Your parents are going to tell you it's terrible. And what do I tell you? Only take advice from people that you want to be at. Now, most of you love your parents and your family, but honestly, take a financial snapshot and ask yourself, do I want to be in their shoes in X amount of years? And if you don't, then make that change. The problem is, I'm just going to be brutal. I am a father. I have 2 kids. I rather parents tell their kids the truth than sit there with this ridiculous lie. Okay. We start lying from the day our kids are born. We tell them about Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and all this other great stuff. When you're young, it's fine. But at what point do we start telling everyone the truth? The reality is sometimes your parents are broke and they don't want to tell you they are. They love you to death and they want you to stay secure. And out of love, they're going to try to surround you and not let you get up. The reality is, if you're not happy with that situation, you got to find another way to get there. And it's going to require you to do what 95% of the world doesn't do. That means going to college is not going to save you in wholesaling. Wholesaling doesn't care. I actually think you get penalized for going to school for wholesaling. I went to school, Zach went to school. I'm here to tell you, college did not make us good wholesalers. In fact, it probably did the opposite. So if you understand that, you got to stop worrying about what others think. And let me expand on this a little bit more on you. In particular, when you go on social media. Now, social media is a tool. Either use it or it's going to use you. The reality is I'm using social media to connect with you guys. I use social media to keep up on current topics, to research the things I'm interested in, but I know a lot of it's just BS. I'm not stupid. And you got to understand that too. A lot of you guys go on social media to try to get validation for whatever wholesaling techniques you get. And you're taking criticism from people in the peanut gallery that have never done a damn thing in their life. It is so easy to be a keyboard warrior. And those that are truly talented in life and understand how things work don't sit there and comment on everyone's comment. In fact, they do it the opposite. The only place I comment is on Wholesaling Houses for Real, because it's the most legitimate wholesaling Facebook channel. By the way, soon to be the largest in the entire world, not just the United States. I will go in there because I understand everybody's in there and everyone understands how me and Zach operate. I do not go on other people's sites and tell them if they're right or wrong. It's just a waste of my time. In fact, I did that for a long time. And all I did is, like, you get in these, you just waste time. And now I was qualified to answer those questions, but the reality is the people that were coming back, I have no idea how long they've wholesaled. Are they even successful? Do they even have like 100K in their bank account? Probably not. The reality is, if you start taking information from broke people, you are going to become a broke person. So stop giving people complete credit on the internet and think they know what they're doing. Honestly, if somebody is not entrenched 10 years into their business, I would be very concerned to take information from them. And then the fact, if you're going to pay them and take information, even more concerned. Why? Because anybody can get lucky for a few years. You guys realize from 2016, 15, 16 to 2021, anybody who came in wholesaling was successful. And the majority of those people that came in that wave came out, more than half of them are gone. Now, I've been in wholesaling 21 years. I've watched them come and go all the time. I'm just telling you, stop taking advice from people on social media. You have no ability to know if they even know what they're talking about. And most people just want to judge and pass judgment. Why? Because it makes themselves feel better. Remember, we talked about the ego. What happens when the ego, when you feed it? You got to hurt somebody else usually to make that happen. So stop being so concerned whatever everybody else think. I'm sorry. This includes your parent, your aunt, your uncle, your sisters, your brothers, everybody. Stop it. They're not going to live your life for you. In fact, I'm here to tell you, nobody's going to save you. And once you understand that, like I knew when I went into wholesaling and somebody taught me this, I knew I had to put in the work. And every time someone tried to give me a shortcut, I fell for it for a few times. I said, you know what? I'm just going to do the work. I'm no different than this guy, than this girl. And I just said, screw it. I'm just going to do the work. And once I put in my 2 years of hard work in wholesaling, man, it was a lot of fun. But I tell you, cutting that first 2 years, it was touch and go a lot of times. I was very confused. I was scared. I constantly wanted someone to look over my stuff, which was a terrible, terrible idea. And I look at it and it takes a lot of you guys out. You keep worrying about what other people think. The reality is, if they're broke and they're just trying to fight for themselves, for them to make themselves feel better, they're usually going to pass judgment on you. And if you're doing something they don't understand, which I guarantee you they don't understand, they are not going to agree with what you do. And so many people get hung up. So many people's dreams and ideas get killed on this right here. Guys, come on, man. Don't let other people tell you what to do in life. You are smart enough. You are getting great information from me and Zach. 28 years combined experience. And you got the young and you got the old guy like me. There's not much you can throw at me in wholesaling that I haven't seen or haven't done or tried. So if you have a question or a concern, we're here to answer it for you. But I'm here to tell you, I don't know everything about wholesaling, and anyone who says it does, they're completely lying, but I know quite a bit. I know more than the average person. That's all I know. And I leave it at that. There's some people that know more than me. I'm sure there is. But are they willing to share the information at the same level I am? Probably not. And that's the benefit you get working with me and Zach. So if nobody's going to save you, what are you waiting for? It's only you. A software is not going to save you. Tony Robbins not going to save you. He'll help you. Grant Cardone's not going to save you. He might help you. He's not going to help you in wholesaling. He's never done it before. So you always want to take expertise, training and expertise in the field. That's where someone's committed to. Meaning they don't go out, they don't try to teach you crypto, they don't try to teach you NFTs, all this other crazy stuff. Why? Those types of people are money grabbers. So when something comes hot and they get a following, they want to shove everybody over to the following. I don't do that. Honestly, I'm a rookie at all that stuff. I'm clueless. I buy Bitcoin just like you guys do. I buy it and just cross my fingers because that's all I can do, because I'm not in control of the supply and demand of it. I have theories, but honestly, till I had 10 years of solid like returns and Bitcoin, which is going to be a long time for me because I haven't had solid returns in it. That's why I love real estate. It's my wheelhouse. It's what I love. I feel like I have complete control from start to finish. In Bitcoin, I'm guessing, and I know it. So what I want you to understand is, if you know that, and you know no one's going to save you, you've got to understand this. You've got to be the exception, not the rule. So if you're going to do what 95% of other people won't do, why do you think you can run life like the other 95%? In fact, a lot of you guys from Thursday on just treat like you want to be part of the norm crowd, and then come Monday morning, you want to be a badass and start swinging wholesaling. You can't. You have to commit all 7 days. The difference between Saturday and Tuesday, there's no difference to a wholesaler. Sorry. Guys, for the first 2 years, the first year, 7 days a week, and then the second year, I went 6.5 days a week. I never stopped. In fact, I was trying to get ahead of everybody else, and the only way I could do is just meet and converse with as many sellers as humanly possible. And I want you to understand that. You have to do it. So in order for you to be the exception and not the rule, you're going to have to do something nobody else is willing to do. But here, before you do anything, you have to understand this. This is the part that drives me nuts. Okay, you ready? You got to make a decision, man. A lot of you guys are watching this video right now. You're like, wholesaling is kind of cool. And you're talking about the theory, but then you're thinking about all the work you have to do. And trust me, it will be work. And then you just sit in this maybe zone. And you're basically sitting in what me and Zach call the friend zone. Not quite to make a decision. I want to do it because it's teasing me just enough to get me out of my old life, but I don't want to make that kind of commitment, because then it gets real and you have to be accountable to yourself. Well, guess what? If you don't make a decision, you already made it. You have a choice. You have to decide what you want to do, because guys, no one's going to help you out here. I'm telling you right now. I'm just reading some of your comments on here. So you've got to understand that. So you got a choice here. You ready for this? You're either going to thrive or you're going to die. I'm sorry. I know that's brutal. It is the absolute truth. Why? Because if you make a decision and you decide to be the exception, not the rule, and you take action, and how do I start? Go over to freewholesaling.com, jump in, immerse yourself, and get started. What happens here is when you do this, amazing things will happen in your life. And basically, the old version of yourself will die off. And to me, that is a great thing because we are just like a crab, any type of mollusk. We have to shed our shells every year for us to grow and be bigger. So now you're in 2024. You decided you want to make a change, either kill off the old version of you and thrive in the new one, or stick stuck in that shell trying to figure out how to separate. Because if you don't, you're going to be in that shell forever. I've been in that shell, guys. And when you stop growing, you know exactly what I'm saying. The average person by the age of 33 are so set in their ways, 32, 33, and your brain's fully developed and you just sit there. So guys, what's the difference between you ever meet like that old person, they're stubborn, everything's like a nasty comment, life's just brutal and bitter. That's what happens when you stop growing. They stay in the old shell and they sit there for 50, 60 years and they never become better. If you want to thrive in wholesaling, you've got to understand you are constantly going to adapt yourself and change yourself. And I think it's for the better because to be successful in wholesaling, it will require you to be a different person than your old version of yourself. Dude, I'm living proof. In my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be where I am. You got to understand, I was a regular blue collar guy, dude. I like to work with my hands. I was really good with it. I'm actually really smart. I just learned very different than most people. And I was made fun of my entire childhood for my ADHD, which I didn't even know what it was at the time. I just knew I was different. And my parents didn't diagnose me. In fact, it was quite the opposite. So I was a thrill seeker, anything for attention, anything um, to get wild. I just had a lot of energy. And so here I am, fast forward today with a 54-year-old adult with a ton of energy. And honestly, without a wholesaling, I don't know where I would have wound up. Yeah, I probably just would have been stuck in a corporate job, probably earning 100, 150 grand a year and probably be miserable. So I did it for 12 years and I hated every minute of it. And if you can relate with it, you're in the right place because my greatest day ever is when I fired my boss. So what did I do? So let's talk about the patterns you need to do to actually make a change so you do not get stuck in these like ridiculous growth cycles. And every wholesaler I've seen. So in the beginning, you just got to be open to learning and stop trying to use your old goggles, the ones that got you to where you are in your wholesaling business. Why? Because they don't work. Remember, we don't go to work 8 hours a day. We're not paid per hour. We're paid based on our productivity. So the average 8-hour a day worker, they only work for an hour and a half to 2 hours. So you showing up and punching the time clock, which is what you've done your entire life. Think about this. When you went to school, what'd you do? The bell rang. You had to be in your seat. If not, you got a tardy. You had to go to the bathroom. What? You had to get a bathroom pass. You had to get a hall pass. You got a lunch hour. You got to check back in. That entire system groomed you for your career, your job. Remember, all your counselors told you, hey, listen, you're going to get a career. You're going to get a job. Guys, it's modern day prison, my friend. It's the worst thing you can do for your life. I'm sorry. If you have a job, I did the job thing. I did the college thing. It was a complete train wreck in my life. None of it was bad. I got married. I had kids. I went to school. I just wasn't happy. I was getting fat and out of shape. I got lazy and I did whatever I could do to kill the time. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to live like I just get a vacation a week or two a year and just live for that moment. Honestly, you need to create a life that you're basically on vacation every day. And you can do that in wholesaling. Here's the key. You're actually going to have to put in the work for it. There's going to be no exception for it. So you're either going to thrive or die. How do you start doing that? I'm telling you right off the bat, you have to have a belief. And has to be something that's near and dear in your heart, like memorized and burnt in your brain. So I always bring you back to like, what was my belief? What got me out of my corporate structure, my dead end job, my corporate hell, as I call it? I had a belief. And my belief is I want to spend as much time with my children and my family as humanly possible while being present. I never started out saying, I want to make $10 million. I want to make $1 million in like a year or two. See, those are not beliefs. Those are just requests. So a belief has to be something that satisfies you within. I just wanted to spend more time. My father never spent any time with me when I was a kid, and I wanted to fix that. And I know how quick kids grow up and how fast time goes by and how short we're on this earth. And once I decided to do that, everything slowed down for me. I got a firm grasp on it. My ADHD, I could actually work with it at this time. And that's how I attacked it. My belief was I wanted to spend as much time with my loved ones as possible and be the person who's in charge of my time. Now, if I knew if I helped out enough people, the money would come with it. And for God's sakes, it did. In the very beginning, it was a little nerve wracking because I did work a full time job and did this. So I started with a belief, and here's what do it. And this story is so true. You could ask my wife. I took a dry erase marker and I wrote it on the window. I wrote it on the mirror in the bathroom. I had to stare at it every day. Why? Because you guys all stand in front of the mirror, women a lot more than men. And some of you men need to stand in the mirror more and just look at it. And what if it resonates with you and it gives you like goosebumps or it like drops a tear in you, that's a belief. That's a belief that you can go all in on. Because when you get doors slammed on your face, people hang up on you, and people being nasty to you, you better have a great belief. Now, here's the really cool part. The belief, easiest part, because it's like everybody can come up with a belief if I spend enough time with you. And your belief can't be, I want to earn $1 million. That's not a belief. That's a request. So when we do that, I really got to fix some stuff in the studio. It drives me nuts. Your belief has to make sense to you. It's got to be wholesome and something that you're striving for. It can't be, I want a red Lambo in my driveway. It has to be something that completes you, and it can't really necessarily be financial. Now, the financial will come with it. So if that was my belief and you understand that, the problem with people's belief, they rarely stick with it. In fact, I'm here to tell you, in order to have a belief to become effective, you have to add one more level to it. And, uh-oh. Ah. Okay, hold on, guys. I got to get up. I dropped something on the computer, and now it doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, I'm back. I got to make sometimes like some of the stuff doesn't move the way it does. Okay, so we talked about belief, and the one level you add to it is conviction. And what do I mean by conviction? Conviction is the hard, fast armor you wear. It says, no matter what anybody says to me, no matter how much they laugh at me, no matter how much they get screamed at, no matter how much my mom yells at me, my dad yells at me, I'm all in wholesaling and I'm going to get this done. I don't care what they do to me. So if you want to think about the guys that had to get off the boats on Normandy Day. If you want to go check out the videos, it's to me, the most challenging situation you can put in life. You're coming off a ship with doors opening and nothing but bullets flying into you. And most of the people around you are going to die. Now, it's not as severe in wholesaling, but why did those guys get off those ships? They had a belief, they had conviction. I know they're in the military, but it takes guts to do stuff like that. And if a man can do something like that, what can you do? And sometimes we think about modern day limitations and the heroics of people like D-Day. It to me still astounds me to this day. Get off a ship knowing most likely you're going to die to fight for your country's freedom. Absolutely insane. So now I'm asking you to use your conviction and your belief to fight for your freedom. See, conviction is no matter what happens, you're getting back up. Just like the fighter, he gets knocked down a certain amount of times, they get back up. You have to do the same. And if you don't, you'll never make it. See, most people have a belief, and the minute someone challenges you, goes, what's this wholesaling crap you're doing? This just looks illegal, looks scamish. Are you scamming people? And then you go in this massive defensive with them. You don't understand. Wholesaling is great. It's a great way to make a ton of money with a little amount of risk. They're like, there's no way you can do that. Number one, you shouldn't even argue with these people. Just go listen. It's my choice. It's what I do. Love you. That's it. And once you learn to stop arguing with people like this, they're never going to get it. In fact, they are trying to break you down to make themselves feel better. And if you know this up front, you don't have to engage in these ridiculous arguments. I used to fight people all the time in my 30s. And let me tell you, I know that's not the youngest time to start wholesaling. It doesn't matter what your age is. It's about what your beliefs are. But without conviction, man, these people will tear you apart. Let me know in the comments if you have this problem. Like, people always like, what the hell is it you do? Most people have no idea what I do. To this date, when people ask me what do, all I do is this: I do real estate. Oh, you're a broker? A little bit different than that. I have a good time. That's it. I don't explain what I do anymore because it's honestly 9 times out of 10, it's a waste of my time. I don't need deals from family. I don't need them from friends. In the beginning, I told everybody what I did. And honestly, I think it hurt me. Why? I was trying to get business off them, and I did get business. Trust me. I got like 3 or 4 deals off family and friends, but man, I paid a hefty price tag. Why? Because they all sat there and judged me. I can't believe you went to college to go like sell houses. Okay. That's what you think I do. And now, like, I fast forward today, it's absolutely hysterical. They still don't know what I do, but they know I have more time than anyone else. I have a lot more money than most people. And I just don't care. Like, I honestly don't care. I don't have to explain it. Heck, my own in-laws don't even understand what I do. And this goes back to the thing when I said, like, nobody else cares, especially about your excuses. They just don't care about anything. So the best way to show people something, instead of flexing your mouth, flex your bank account, flex your wholesaling, and flex them with freedom of time to do whatever you want in life. There is nothing better than flexing on someone when I can go fishing Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, whenever I want. Why? Because I can. I've put in my time. I've done 21 years in wholesaling. I love this business. I'm one of the rare few that never leaves it. Why? Because it's extremely profitable. Only people that aren't profitable leave wholesaling. Let me repeat that again. Ready for this? The only people that ever leave wholesaling are the ones that weren't profitable doing it. Now, some of them go on the fix and flip and bigger journeys. Buy whatever store you want. If you're really good at wholesaling, why would you ever leave it? Because you run it like a business and you can go open up other businesses and do things. That's what I did. But I'm not here to judge. I'm just giving you the truth. So I told you I'd save the best for last. This is the truth. This one's going to sting. And I am just, look at me as the father, that hard father on you. Cause I wish my father would have hit me with this crap when I was young. I swear to you. And if you're a young man or a woman, I want you to understand this. If you can grasp this next statement I'm going to put up here, your entire life will change. Because I learned at a young age, I spent most of my childhood people lying to me. Now, I'm not talking about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. I'm just talking about outright lying to me. And you know what I figured out? Unfortunately, I figured this out later in life, and you can figure out earlier, is you and only you have to stop lying to yourself. If you're in one of those families, and put it in the comments that everybody just lies about everything, you have to find a way to stop lying to yourself. And most of the lying, because everybody lies in this world, it's just a pandemic at this point. It's so bad. I don't believe anything anyone says to me anymore. Remember, I watch what people do. I'll listen to what you say, but I don't put a lot of stock into it. And I've learned this because I've been doing this so long. I understand my biggest change, what gave me the most growth in wholesaling, is when I raised my hand and go, I know I can do a lot better. And I found out and admitted the stuff that I sucked at. And I decided not to keep telling myself a lie. And I reached out and I had people that truly I trusted and that were sincere about wholesaling helped me out. That's it. Guys, for 7 years, I did everything in wholesaling. I met with the sellers, I met with the buyers, I dealt with any type of repairs, like any minor type of stuff. I did all the marketing. I handled all the inbound calls. I did outbound calls. I did door knocking. I did driving for dollars. 7 years. You know how stupid that is? Now, here's how I look at this. This was a blessing in disguise. And I get made fun of all the time by other wholesalers. Like, I can't believe you were stupid enough to do this business 7 years all by yourself. But I have like a PhD plus plus in meeting with sellers. And that's why I'm so good at sharing information with you guys. That's why I helped my son give him the best head start I could at age 16, because I went through these trials and tribulations. Now, I went way too long. I should have got a lot more help, but that gave me the experience. I think I've met with more sellers than almost any other wholesaler on the internet, period. Why? Because 7 years. Who does it for 7 years? You know why I did it? Because I had that blue collar mindset. I just wanted to keep working and working on my business. I was scared to bring in other people. I didn't know how to hire. I didn't know how to recruit. I didn't know how to manage them. So I did everything myself. And this is a problem, mostly in America. I'm sure outside of America. But the reality is, I can teach you the skill sets. You don't have to do it all 7 years. But how cool is it that I did this for 7 years? I had my son work in my business for almost 4 or 5 years before I even shared them with you guys. And I learned some basics when I when I was doing it with my son. I was brutally honest. I told him this. I told him, I'm not a cold caller. It's not that I'm scared of it. I just haven't put any time into it. And if you can help me figure out cold calling, we can do a ton of deals. Dude, the kid went crazy on cold calling. He went back and reinvigorated my bandit signs. He reinvigorated the entire SMS text campaigns. Everything. Why? Because I finally admitted I'm not good at it, and I had him do that. And before that, I hired a lot of people that took a lot of my money and never did a damn thing. Tell me if you can relate. So once you stop lying to yourself, you can do anything you want in this world. But if you can't tell yourself the truth, you go see a therapist and anything else. What do we do? If you have problems and you're not going to be truthful for yourself, and you say you hire a therapist, maybe even a consultant, what you tell them the same lies, and they can only feed you based on the information you're giving them. And once you understand that, you're golden. It is hard to admit when you're not good at something or you have a weakness, and it's actually a power. It's not a curse. And when you admit it, you can find a way to work on it and fix it to go forward. If you constantly lie to yourself, I'm the greatest wholesaler, I'm so good at this. And the reality is, you want to post on everybody else's post on wholesaling, and you've only done one deal, maybe 0 deals, and you make everybody else feel small because you don't have the cojones to do this. That's what I'm talking about. Just be brutally honest. The sooner you're honest with yourself, the easier this is. But in fact, most people I talk to in wholesaling, all they want to do is just lie and tell me how great their business is. Sometimes you just need to tell the truth. I had a 2-month run. I didn't get a deal. I really thought I was losing my mind. And you know what it is? I just got stubborn. I got stuck in a certain type of marketing, and I refused to pivot and change. And until I accepted I'm not good at this part, I need help with this, I could not grow and I could not change. And that all came in when I decided I'm not going to lie to myself anymore. So most of you all have an internal conversation with yourselves, and you don't tell yourselves the truth. And that's some of the problems we have here. So guys, tell yourself the truth, because once you know the truth, you can now go seek help to fix it. And a lot of times it's easy stuff, and not everything costs you money to fix it. Don't be fooled with that. If you'll go out and use your resourcefulness to find guides to help you, there's tons of stuff on YouTube. You guys use YouTube to help you out in wholesaling. Why not anything else in your life? So once you stop lying to yourself, you all know that people always go like this, Rick, things happen in threes. Like this happened bad and 2 more bad things are going to happen. Guess what? The complete opposite can happen to you. So we all know about a downward spiral. I no means I talk about the upward spiral. You just need one good thing to happen in your life. So if you want to start out with wholesaling, you basically just start your upward spiral. Things have to build on each other. Listen, the only one off that will ever work in your life, and it's slim to none, and I stay away from this with utter conviction, is a lottery. It's the only way you're going to earn like $50 million overnight. But your odds of winning it are so slim. What if I could show you how to put 10, 20, 30 grand in your bank account? What if I could show you how to put 100 grand in your bank account? And I'm telling you, you can do it with high success, not 0.0000012, and you got to give me like $50 just to give me a shot. What if I show you how to do it for free and your success rate is actually very high? Would you do it? A lot of you won't, but then you go out and buy a lottery ticket because once you buy a lottery ticket, you've accepted the fact that you need somebody else to bail you out. If you think you're going to sit around for Social Security, if you think your 401k, all this stuff's going to save you, you guys, we have some crazy things happening in our world, and I don't want it to happen to you guys. You have to take accountability for yourself. And if you understand nobody else is going to save you, once you understand this, I don't care if you're a guy or a gal and go, listen, I got to stand up and fight now. Here's the awesome part about wholesaling. A lot of people don't talk about. When we talk about growing, one of the biggest thing is you never really have to retire in wholesaling. There is no retirement plan. There is no retirement package. Here's your retirement plan. Build a business that's so good to you. Teach good people your skill sets, bring them in the business, and it's the most amazing retirement vehicle you ever have in your life. I will never let go of my wholesaling business. In fact, my goal is to do a wholesaling deal the day I die. Why? Because it feeds me. I love it. I'm addicted to the rush of wholesaling. Guys, you can decide what you want to be addicted to. I like the rush of wholesaling. I like helping people out. I love chasing real estate deals. Everything else is kind of a bore to me. And this is where I'm at with it. And if you want to do that too, you've got to understand nobody's else come and say your parents aren't going to save you. And you're like, well, my mom and dad said I could live with them. The reality is you got to get off your butt and get stuff done. Stop depending on other people to save your butt because it's not going to happen. And the sooner you understand that, the easier this is. So let's jump over and do some comments, and we'll do some one-on-ones here, and we will go on with that. So, okay, I see some regs on here. So let's start with this. I see about 3 or 4 comments very similar to this one. So Crisp TV. I don't know if that's your name, but interesting. Hi, Rick. The people at the code enforcement are giving me a hard time. Is it better to get a request to FOIA or just keep asking them nicely? So I do not hide this from any of you. What we do is work. So they give you a hard time. I already tell you, expect a hard time. To overcome resistance, you're going to have to beat it with persistence. End of story. So you can do the FOIA request. Probably not going to get anywhere. It's going to take you 3 to 6 months to get that back. Or should we keep asking them nicely? You already know the answer to this. You have to keep going back at them. You actually have to treat them like a motivated seller now. You're going to have to build rapport with them, and you're going to have to learn to use the art of conversation. Chris, you're not telling me anything I don't already know and everybody else on this. To get these government lists, you're going to have to work it, guys. And very rarely are you going to get in like one request. So just kill them with niceness. Just keep going back. It's ridiculous it's come to this, but this is what it takes to be successful in wholesaling. So here's a good one. Nick's got a good comment on here. We were talking earlier about the ego. Ego is a primitive survival mechanism. So it's basically the conscious part of your mind. Well trained, it can be powerful as long as you are in charge of it and not it. And that's the problem is, so Nick hit it right, the nail on the head. Most of you guy and gals egos, the egos run you, you don't run it. And once your ego starts running you, you're in big, big trouble because when your ego gets activated, it goes on autopilot. And unless you start training it and learn the skills to cope with it, it's the part of your brain that will like ruin things for you just to create change. And Once you recognize what your ego does and you can put it in check, it's always there. It's not going away. But you can have a talk and you can kind of filter it before it goes out. When I was young, my ego took me out on a lot of deals, and I missed out on some incredible deals because I had to be right. And once you learn not to be right, honestly, if you're sitting in a room with people and you want to learn and do business, don't be the biggest talker. In fact, when I'm in a room and there's one person who constantly talks, I tend to move away because they are not trying to get business. They're just trying to go out there and attack. And people that attack usually don't do very well in life, meaning that's all they do. So let me give you an example. I go to lots of RIA events and there's always one or two people, give me your cash buyers, give me your cash buyers. I immediately avoid that person like the plague. Why? Because all they want to do is take. And true networking with other people is a give and take. You've got to provide something to get something back. And so many people going, I just want to take, take, take. You guys see this in relationships every day, everything else we go through, and you got to understand when we do that. So awesome. I appreciate it. So, okay. What's up, Lisa? I'm glad you made it here. Check us out on the Flip with Rick channel. We go live on there on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. And that's where I go on with my son. He's 24 now, but he started out when he was 16, 17 wholesaling with me. And that's where we have a lot of fun. But sometimes someone likes to talk to the someone likes to talk to dad. So Zach's got his own YouTube channel in there. So I welcome you to the group. So guys, if you are new to the channel, do me a favor. Make sure right now you smash that like button. If you enjoy the comment, make sure you subscribe. And if you are new here, I'm going to point you in a direction. I want you to go over to freewholesaling.com. And this is a course me and my son created together over 3 years ago. We just keep adding to it. 100% free on how to get your first deal. Not only your first deal, how to get you to your first $100,000 deal. And if you don't believe me, check out our website. I think we're well over 10,000 testimonials, the biggest by far in wholesaling on hands down across the entire world. Anybody can challenge me on that. And the reason why we're so successful is because we do it completely the opposite way of every other guru who teaches this business, because I just hate the whole thing guru. I never, ever want to be called a guru. I don't think I'm a guru. I just give away the skill sets that I've learned and show you how to do it. And I think I'm very good at it. Do I know everything? Absolutely not. Am I the absolute best at it? I think so. But for the most part, you guys are going to be the judge on that. So I'm trying to share skill sets that would help you. Go over to freewholesaling.com if you've never done it before. Don't worry, I'm not going to bang over your credit card. I don't have any type of upsell or anything to give it to you. So, okay. So let's jump in. Awesome. Okay. I missed one other question here. Where was it? Wayne's got a good one here. It's so true. The truth will set you free. You know why it's easier to tell the truth? Because you don't have to keep track of all your lies. And if you constantly lie, I see this all the time in wholesaling, you're only lying to your ego because you're scared. And when you're scared, you'll do things to protect you. Think about you're the kid. Think about when you grab that, say you ate something you weren't supposed to, you grab the candy bar before dinner. Our human nature is to lie. And until you evolve and figure it out, I lied all the time as a kid. I just didn't want to get in trouble. Why do we lie? We don't want to get in trouble. So why do we lie as adults? Because we don't want to appear like we don't know what we're doing. So the sooner you accept that and get the answers and work on it, the better off you're going to be. And that's what you got to understand. So awesome. Okay, let's jump on and do some lives here. Let me see who I got. Deb, are you there? Deb.
Yes, I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. Hold on. Let me turn up my volume on my computer.
Okay.
Okay. You there?
Okay. Yes, I am here.
Hear you better. I just put on the loudspeaker. What's going on?
I hopped on late, so I didn't expect to even get in. So
Oh my goodness. How you doing?
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I started. taking action because I've been on here and I've been watching, and it was
I
always the fear, you
I
know.
remember you.
Yeah, it was always the fear. So I just said, hey, what do I have to lose? Like you said, I don't like people being rude because I'm not rude, but I have to get over it if I want something better. And so I actually,
Well,
before I have no way to contact you, offline. I even got the special you guys had with Deal Machine,
mhm.
and some of the same homes that I have that don't have numbers, they don't have numbers in here. You know how you can do the free,
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, now. And so my thing is, how do I find those numbers? A lot of great properties been boarded up a while, but I can't find any numbers, and a lot of them, and it's crazy. I don't understand this. They
Mhm.
don't have like relatives, So I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
it's listen,
what do I
there's
say? Yeah, go
you'll
ahead.
learn quickly. You assume everybody has this robust family dynamics.
Yes.
There's a lot of people out there in life like all alone. Like there's nobody out there. Like number one, there's nobody out there to even be a PR or even an heir to their estate. So a lot of these, I assume you're doing like driving for dollars and collecting these leads.
Yes. And then I'm going to talk with a guy from code enforcement as well.
Uh huh.
He gave me his number today. I just flagged him down. I know he's code enforcement.
Yeah.
So to, kind of let me know, where some vacant properties are that they're having, that they write the code violations on. Because I have tried to get the list. I've been sending it. They have not given it out. I'm not going to say they don't. I haven't
Yeah.
gotten it yet. So tomorrow will be like my fifth time trying.
Yeah. So when
But
it comes particularly, let's talk about like these boarded up houses.
okay.
So when you see these houses that are boarded up, typically sometimes they're boarded up for years. There is
Yeah.
no town, city, or county that doesn't have these. I have them in my own county. They just perplex me because you drive by, I'm like, my God, this thing needs help. Like grass is high, there's mold on the boards on the windows. Um, and I had the same challenge. So back then, I didn't really even have the ability to skip trace. So you can appreciate how brutal it was back then. As I
Yes.
said, my oldest school was the neighbors to the best of their ability, but after it gets years old, that gets hard too. And a lot of times I went old school, man. I just stuck signs all in the yard. Like someone's
Okay.
got to call me. And the biggest indicator, because I was in Florida in the summertime, if you don't mow the grass like every week, you're going to get in trouble quick. Like
Oh,
it
really?
grows like
It grows that
3, 4
fast?
inches. Yeah, the grass gets so high. So once I see the grass cut, I knew
Okay.
somebody had to be taken care of. So sometimes if you can't get through the neighbors, you've tried the sign in the ground, and the
I
only
have not
reason when
tried
I put the sign in the ground to gain attention from someone who gives a crap about the property.
that.
It
Okay.
could be the neighbor, it could be the owner, it could be the landscaper. Like, what do you mean this house is for sale or property managed by? I've done handwritten signs. I go, are you the owner of the house? I go, yeah. How dare you put that in my, like, once I get them, I don't care how I got them on the phone because you're going to have to be extremely resourceful in these houses. Because let me ask you this, Deb, do you think you're the only person chasing these houses down?
No, and
No.
that's
So
why I'm frustrated.
everybody's having the same challenge you are. Everybody. And listen, the reality is past skip tracing, most people give up. And to a point, rightfully so, right? Because it's like I only got so much time in the day, and I don't want to spend thousands of dollars just researching this. The crazy part is some of them, these properties are from people who've passed away that have never opened probate. And
Okay.
those are a real challenge because to try to convince somebody to open a probate on these types of property, number one, you got to get in touch with someone. And number two, you got to find the money in the property. And those to me are the most frustrating because a lot of these houses are free and clear other than like some tax liens. And some of them have hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some have 50 grand, some have 100 grand in them. They drive me nuts. And
Okay.
to this day, the neighbors, the sign in the lawn, um, but the biggest clue I've ever gone is once I see that grass cut, I kind of figure out which day it is. I make it my mission to figure out who's cutting that grass. And
Okay.
unfortunately, a good wholesaler, eventually you figure out what we call, you almost feel like a private investigator or like a cop, like, because sometimes you got to sit in front of a house 4 or 5 hours. I go, the only thing I figured out is they cut this lawn sometime on Saturday between
Okay.
10 and 3 o'clock. So I will go there and I would just kind of hang out in my car, work on some videos. You can cold call or do whatever, but just try to find the one clue that will give it away. Because eventually somebody has to take care of something on the property or it completely falls apart. So I have seen properties where the grass is so high you can't see anymore. But a lot of
Wow.
times, if it gets bad, the city will jump in and they'll hire someone to take care of that property. And that's where you
Okay.
just got to figure it out. But listen, here's one thing I know, Deb. You will never crack the case on every one of them. Now, you can find people that for a fee, and it's more than I want to pay, they say they can find anybody that's related to the property. But with today's modern technology, I don't want to spend $500 locating it. There are
Oh,
companies out there for $100 to $200. They will take that extra layer of work that, like, PIs have some software and some tools that you really shouldn't have as a wholesaler. It's a bit much. And occasionally you can do that. But I would only spend that money if I knew something very unique and special with the property. Maybe
yeah.
it's in foreclosure or something like that. But um, I got about 30 of them in my area that they're on a hit
Yeah,
list, we
the
call it.
taxes are being paid, and I just can't get anyone.
It's
And then
crazy.
like, it frustrates me if I see it a couple of months later, and someone's building. Someone has purchased it. I'm like, how are they finding them?
Yeah. Well,
What
they're, listen, you got to do some creative. So I've always told a good wholesaler, especially in the beginning, you just got to be resourceful. So those, I'm going to be honest with you, they're tough to crack. But if you keep an eye on the house and you watch for the subtle clues, and the minute you see a change in that house, either a lockbox, the grass gets cut, a board comes off of a window, it's absolutely huge. But like a lot of times we're trying to contact. The reality is what's on public record is not what's really going on in the family. And that's usually why you're struggling with them. So keep in mind, a lot of times people record a deed 20, 30 years ago and the family has a whole new arrangement. Their nephew's been running the property. I recently came across one that it's so funny. They had a realtor sign in the yard and it was knocked over and covered in mold. It's been sitting there so long.
Oh,
And the son was running the house. It wound up being a drug house. I
mhm.
got the guy off of how did I get him? I think we got him off of a mailer, and his friend called and he says, "Listen, they've owned this house for a while. They haven't been there in 3 years, but the son's taking care of it." I'm like, Lord. I go, "When you say taking care of it, what do you mean by it?" He goes, "No, no, he's living there. He's taking care of it, but he's been a real problem the last few years." My guy went out, looked at the property. He goes, "Dude, it's beyond toast. It's really bad." And so we started putting two and two together. He thought it was the nephew, not the son, that was taking care of the property. He wasn't taking care of it at all. They turned it into a crack house.
Right, right.
So once the guy saw the pictures and stuff, we got a lawyer involved because he was in like hospice and
Oh,
the kid was just trying to wait him out. Like the weird things happen in family dynamics. We wound up buying the property. It was so bad. I hired a private security team so I could get the house wholesaled. I
oh,
paid
really?
I paid
Yeah.
three grown men to live in the house for 2 weeks. Why?
Oh my goodness.
Because
Yeah.
the kid,
'Cause
they
they
tried to
gonna come
burn the house down. They tried to do everything, and there was no insurance on it. We couldn't get insurance on it, and we moved fast. This is why wholesaling is so valuable.
back. Okay.
And
And I have
the
one like that too now, that the person is in hospice, but it's like someone has moved into the house, and I'm like, how do I get a hold of the homeowner? The
so
daughter
is that
passed
is the
away, and the mother's in hospice. That's another question I had. I'm glad you brought it up because I forgot.
so explain that again to me.
I have a house just like that. The owner is in hospice.
Got it.
Don't know where.
How do you know they're
And
in hospice?
because the neighbor had a complaint. One of the code enforcement guys, he was telling me about it, but he found another job, so he's not working at code enforcement. And the daughter passed away. So I'm
Okay.
like, how do I get in contact with her? It's in a great neighborhood. It's in a B area, but it's like I think someone has just moved into the property. just moved
So the
in.
daughter passed away. Was the daughter on title?
No, no. But you know how she was like taking care of things and
Got
taking
it.
care of her mother. But now she's in like a hospice or, a nursing home
Yeah.
and type. So I was trying to find out, from the neighbors where, but even if I find her, how do I talk to someone that's in that situation? Because I know the courts would be concerned if I'm trying to wholesale it and I make some profit, how
So
sometimes they
yeah.
frown on these elderly people.
So let me first of all, the courts, they don't care about the property. I'm just going to tell you right now. I've been through this so many
Okay.
times. Remember, the court's not there to judge on a transaction for the most
Okay.
part. They're there just to make sure there's a valid seller, and that's the person on record, and they have a legitimate buyer. That is their only purpose
Okay.
in probate. It is not to go, they're not getting a. I've been questioned once, I think,
Okay.
on well over 500 probate properties because it was a really low price for a very big house. Judge goes, "Why is it so low?" Handed him a file with all the pictures. Once he saw like there was a really bad house, he goes, "Okay, I get it. No, no problem."
Okay.
And then it's up to the seller and the buyer. If they agree and they're of sound mind, it's not the court's business to do valuations. They don't own the property. They don't have the right for that. So you
Okay.
guys get that out of your head because that is not the purpose. The challenge is somebody being in hospice. We're assuming they're elderly, but
Yes.
most likely you would have to work through a contact of a family member, most likely, or an attorney. But either way, at that point, they usually do like um, I deal with a lot of power of attorneys, and I'm going to be honest with you, title companies hate power of attorneys.
Okay.
And so now when we have a power of attorney, which this last house we did had one, is they are vetted very well, meaning an attorney goes through, sees when it was filed, why it was filed, and make sure it's still active. And then they try to talk to the seller, even if they're in hospice. Some can't respond, and they want to make
Yeah.
sure that's what they still want to do. So they're hypersensitive. Power of attorneys, guys, they kind of suck. So because we don't have a relationship with the person, we have to prove it. And if it wasn't done valid, it's always a problem. But the courts don't care what you do. So on that
Okay.
one, the only thing you do is find out where they are and then hopefully find a caretaker or somebody in the family. Because the last thing I'm going to worry about if I'm stuck in hospice is if I'm going to get a house sold or not. Like
Okay.
it's like the reality is I've dealt with hospice more than I wanted to. I hate it, but it is what it is. And they provide an amazing service. Um, when you find like you have an end of life thing, nobody wants to ever talk about money when it comes to end of life. Like that's the last thing, like, because money's worthless, right? It's just paper.
Right. Right.
So you got to find a way. You won't get every one of them, but look, listen, guys, long boarded up houses for a super long time, they're a pain in the ass. Now, are they absolutely right for what we do? Absolutely. But whoever can push it the farthest will usually get it. But it does take time. So many
Okay.
people want to go in on a weekend and get the owner and have a talk with them and try to write a contract. The reality is sometimes it takes 3 months to 3 years to find these people.
Okay.
And you got to be a problem solver and you got to be extremely resourceful. And honestly, a lot of it, I hate to tell you that, it's like common sense. It's like, okay, I tried this, it didn't work. As long as you don't break any laws or do anything that makes you like scared or uncomfortable, go for it. But like, don't break in the house. Don't do anything stupid like that.
Oh,
And just kind of keep going at it. But like, eventually you'll have one punch through.
okay.
So I've done about 25 houses like that. I know like work that's on a lot. I'm talking about those are 25 brutally difficult houses that took a long time to take down. Now, I wouldn't fight every day for those properties because I know they're
Right.
far. They're obvious, but they're hard. They're obvious, but they're hard. And it messes with your mind, right? Like,
Right.
this is no brainer. Why wouldn't they want to just take the money? People are weird. You have no idea. By the way, this goes on in $1 million houses I deal with all the time now, too. I'm like, just take the money. Yeah,
Okay.
we're
Yeah,
going
no,
to
I
do a
haven't been able
mortgage.
to get in touch with anyone. So hopefully once I do, that'll be good. But I have this one last question. I've
Go ahead.
been doing the text messaging, and one lady is in an AB area, and she responded back. So how do
Okay.
I handle that? She wants to talk to her daughter, which I understand because she's like 78 years old.
Yeah.
You know. And she said, she asked me my last name and I gave it to her and everything. And she said, "You're the first person that act as if you had some common sense," because she would start asking them questions like, who are you and things like this. I lied, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I said, well, we talked back this summer about your property you have on such and such street. She said, "Oh, okay." I had not talked to her because I don't like cold calling, but she
Mm-hmm.
told me she needed to talk with her daughter, and I told her I understood, and she said, "Thank you for understanding." That's another thing. People are real rude when she say, "Oh, I need to talk to my family member." My deal is, how long should I wait before I contact her again?
So when did you talk to her last?
Saturday, this
Um,
past Saturday, I was texting
Definitely
her.
this week, no later than Friday.
Okay,
So
okay,
so the art of wholesaling is you have to, it's crazy. You have to be like a lie detector. You got to like figure out who's lying to you. And the only way you figure out lying is you hold them accountable for whatever they tell you. Because remember, once someone starts lying, it's a slippery slope. They can never
right.
keep track of the lies. Guaranteed, doesn't matter what it is. Uh, Number two, you have to learn to you have to find the balance between push and pull on wholesaling. A lot
Yeah,
of
that's what.
people they will lie to you, go, I need more time, or I got to talk to my wife, I got to talk to my husband. And then the thing is, I always say, well, how much? So here's a little tip to kind of show you to remember your job is always to progress your lead down the pipeline. And every conversation, you got to look at it as like lubricant. You're trying to get them further down. And the idea is the outcome, I want to get a yes or a no. You just don't want to be the maybe person. So I'll tell you how long do you think you need to talk to your daughter or whatever? And just let
And I
them
did
give you
ask
the
that.
answers. And a lot of times then you don't get, because when you call them back, you go, well, you told me to call you in a week. I called you in a week. And my job is just to keep walking them down. And by the way, I'm perfectly okay with like older people doing that because
Yeah,
I didn't when I was young, a lot of people called me, "Hey Rick, I got this deal. What do you think?" Remember I told you like don't ask everyone what they think because you're wasting your
yeah.
time. I had somebody that I taught wholesaling. We started out together, and you guys would know who this person is. I'm going to say their name, but they go, "Oh my god, I got this smoking deal. This little old lady's giving me her $400,000 house, and all she wants is a trailer in exchange for it." I go, "How old is she?" Goes, "She's
No,
83." I go, "Dude, you're either going to
no.
get handcuffs or you're going to get the crap beat out of you by a family member." He goes, "No, no, no, I'm fine." I go, sure
But
enough,
that's the way to
three
be.
weeks later, 3 weeks later, he called me back. He goes, "Dude, the lady's nephew was at my door beating on the door, and I had to call the police." Obviously, he didn't do the deal. And I'm just
Okay,
saying, if you take care of people just like you would your own mom, your grandma, you don't have to
correct.
worry about this stuff. So I commend you for doing that, but just follow up. So the next one, remember, you keep kind of working them down. So you just want
Okay,
to if you're making progress, you're doing good. If they stall you and you're more confused than the first time you talk to them, you're going backwards.
okay.
And you got to find out like what it takes. The reality is most people are getting ridiculous amount of calls, texts from
She
people.
said, yeah, she
They
did.
don't give a crap. They just, hey, you're going to sell your house, and what's the least amount you'd sell it to me for? So be a human, talk to them, be authentic. Listen, people are going to chew you out. They're going to do, I can't prevent that. And I've always told you that from day one.
Yes,
But you'll
yes,
eventually find someone that goes, you know what, you've been pretty nice to me. I go, if we can reach a number that works. And I tell them, I go, listen, it's got to work for both sides. It's got to work for you. It's got to work for me. And that's it. I go find people that want to work with me. I do not spend time with people that don't want to sell me their house. No
okay.
matter what you say, you can talk to your blue in the face. Unless you want to play like pseudo realtor, you're not going to get anywhere with these people.
No, I'm
So
not a real. No.
I would give them a call. And then remember, you always have a reason. Sometimes if you want to just call them out of the blue, just because sometimes you get this, I used to get this inner feeling of like, I just need to call that lead. I know I told her a week. I'm not going to wait. Sometimes older people will tell me like this. They'll go like this, Rick. I go, hey, Peggy, what do you think you need to get for this house? And they go, I don't know the answer to that. Some older people, they legitimately don't know. Like they're giving you the honest answer, but the other 9 people that gave you the answer lied to you. So you hold the one little old lady accountable for what the other 9 people did to you before. And that's not the way you do wholesaling. You got to kind of read your room and your crowd. So when you have
Okay.
elderly people or you're dealing with a sister, think about if your mom or one of your elderly loved ones were going to sell a house, they would expect to get somebody in the family that helped them walk them through it.
Yeah, that's why I said I understood. I totally
Yeah.
understand. And she's like,
No later than Friday. No later than
okay,
Friday. And if you
okay, because
get
it's
itchy
on
and
my
you want to
mind
call them
today.
earlier, go like this. Hey, Sue, I had a quick question I had to ask you about the property. And then you go, was that a 3-bedroom or a 2-bedroom? You already know the answer.
Right.
And go, hey, Sue, I got you on the phone. And where are we at? Were you able to talk to your daughter,
Oh,
or like
I do
kind of
that.
go and stuff like that? I do it all the time because sometimes I don't want to get in a bidding war and I don't want to wait. I want to talk to people. And remember, by the time you get to the second, third, and fourth call, you should have already befriended them. You should be on a single name basis. And that awkward period is now gone. And this is where you can actually do damage with people and help them out. Because remember, the first phone call is about surviving. Like, are they going to hang up on me, or can I avert a text to a phone call? Once you get that, they know you, they hear you once. The second time, it's like, okay, here we go. Is it better when they call you? Absolutely. But I've done more deals by calling them than they. So 80% of the time, I'm always doing the follow-up call up. 20% of the time, they'll call you back. And when they do, it's powerful. And by the way, guys, whenever one of your leads calls you back, expectedly, unexpectedly, just shut up and listen to what they have to say. They're calling you for a reason.
Okay.
It's usually to move forward or get like not move forward, but you've got to hear them out because sellers always give you data, and data helps you decide where you're going to go with that lead. Okay.
Okay. All
Call them
right.
back by Friday.
Okay, I will do. Thank you. I'll let the next
Okay.
person hop
Okay, Deb. See you.
on.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Samuel, you there? Samuel, you got to unmute yourself. Uh-oh. Samuel disappeared. Okay. Faith, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Can I hear you fine? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I I can't complain. I'm above ground, so every day is a good day.
Yeah, I just had a question about the EMD. As a person that doesn't have a lot of money on their bank account, I kind of
Okay.
been told that I'm a joke because I've been trying to just leave a EMD, like $100 EMD, and I can't get past without sellers telling me they want like a 5,000 EMD.
Okay. So what was that line you said first? Something about a joke or
Yeah, that I'm a joke. Yeah,
okay, Faith, how old are you?
17.
Okay. By the way, I give you all the credit in the world for what you're attempting to do and learn because it takes a lot for a 17-year-old to take this down. So number two, uh, do you think you're a joke?
No, no,
Okay, so you don't care what others think about you, right?
no.
So it's hard at age 17 to do that. And to be honest with you, I couldn't do it at your age. I didn't have the tools for it. Nobody ever taught me this. I didn't have a YouTube channel to talk to either, but that damn thing wasn't even invented yet. So you've got to know your own self-worth and everything. So when it comes to EMDs, I'm going to be honest with you. When I started wholesaling, EMD wasn't like a really big, like nobody really like beat me up for it. To be honest with you, I think I did my first 100 deals. I never even left it. It was like a $10 EMD, and 9 times out of 10, I never left it unless somebody asked. So I wouldn't do $10 anymore. The idea is you're gonna have to scrape up $100. You're just gonna have to skip a few espressos or lattes or anything like that. Can you set aside $100?
Yeah. Um.
So here's the key with EMD. EMD, which stands for earnest money deposit, is a realtor thing. You understand that? It's like realtors in bed, they brainwash everyone. You got to have EMD. So just so you know, you don't have to have EMD to have a legitimate contract. I'm not going to get into the legal argument on this, but I've proven this time and time, thousands of deal with no EMD. Number one, you've got to get past EMD. You've got to get past it because it's my. So here's my simple argument. When someone attacks me on EMD, and by the way, I was in your shoes, I had no money to do this. Well, the realtor told me you should leave a $5,000 deposit, not a $10 deposit. I go, Mr. Seller, I'm trying to buy your house for cash. If I leave $100 or $200, is it really going to make a difference? Because at the end of the day, the title company gets that money, and the only reason they do it is to open up escrow. I still got to take a good look at your house, And remember, I'm trying to get you the full amount, the $100,000. I don't want to argue over EMD. It's the EMD doesn't get the house sold. So people try to use it as a filter now, and it works to a point. But the reality is either set aside $100 or you can work with cash buyers. And once you get a cash buyer to buy your assignment of contract, you can instantly replace your EMD. So every now and then when I had to do like a $500 one, and my God, I was sweating bullets when I left a $500 deposit, is I just made sure I never went past my inspection period. So it wasn't a big deal. And number two, I would go out and find a cash buyer as soon as possible, because the minute they signed, I got my $500 back. And then I'd use that to go try to get 5 more houses. Listen, some sellers, they're just stuck on it. And honestly, the reality is if your seller is stuck on what your deposit is, your EMD, most likely they are not a motivated seller. It's just the truth. When people are kind of like they want to get the house sold and they want certainty, they don't spend hours obsessing over what the deposit is. In fact, a good deal goes without, like, so if I have somebody's property on a contract for 30 days due for cash, if I leave you a $100 deposit or a $5,000 deposit, it's not going to make a difference. It's not your money. And if I have say I had a 30-day inspection period, I got 29 days to figure if I want to pull my money out of there or not. So I try not to argue with the seller with it. And keep in mind, if you have a seller that's giving you a ridiculously hard time, ask yourself, is this truly a motivated seller? Because motivated sellers, they can question it, but they usually don't fight it. People that are primed and geared by realtors, the realtors are the only ones that ever focus on deposit.
Yeah.
So now I have the ability to leave whatever deposit I want, but like it's still a big game for me. So here's my rule. If it's a marginal deal and I'm not comfortable with it, I will never leave them more than $100 to this day. Why? Because I don't want to be chasing my money around everywhere. So like today, I looked at the report. I got like $180,000 out in deposits. Why? Because I can afford it. In the beginning, I couldn't do any of that crap. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. I was no different than you. And unfortunately, I was in my 30s. Okay. So you're way ahead of the game. So do you understand that like the deposit, it goes to a title company and it sits in an account. It doesn't benefit the seller. It doesn't benefit the buyer. And anytime you want to pull your money out as the buyer, you can, as long as you follow the contract. So I always say, I go, is this going to make a difference if I leave you a $100 deposit? And here's what I always say. I go, does it make a difference if I leave you a $100 deposit or 200? Because I'm going worst case scenario, I'll double it. But I'm not like, there's a certain number I'm not going to go over it. And on like a deal that's like sketchy, I don't care. I'm like, that's the number I'm offering. That's it. I don't care. I'm trying to get your house bought, but I have some concerns with it until we get past that inspection period. The other way you can do it is you can put in the contract to put earnest money deposit 24 hours after the exception of the inspection. Now it's a technicality, but I'm telling you right now, if sellers are only focused on deposit, either you're making a big deal out of it or you're not dealing with motivated sellers. That's the only time I ever have a problem.
Yeah.
And so you got to get really confident in your response to them when they go to the deposit, because most people are like, yeah, that makes sense. Like if I left you $100 deposit or $1,000 deposit, is it going to make a difference? Like they don't get the money. In the old days, we actually used to give it to the seller. We never do that anymore. That I could actually see legitimate argument. Like, but when it's going to escrow, but they're not getting the money. Like, oh, it keeps you honest. The reality of the way your contract, if you do it correctly, is that money only goes hard after your inspection period. And number two, if you use my contract, the ones me and Zach give you, worst case scenario, if you completely screw up, what are you at risk for the most? You should know this answer.
I
Your
can't remember.
your deposit.
The
That's why I don't
deposit.
want you to leave more than $100.
Yeah.
So the old days we used to leave $10. Now we've like 10 times that. It's $100. So I always say, listen, if I leave you 100 or 200, and why? Because I'm already kind of pre-planting the mind. I'll leave you up to $200, but that's it. Like, where do we stop? 200, 400, 800, 8,000, 80,000. Like until your house is sold, that's the bottom line. So I always redirect them. Listen, in order to get your house bought for cash, I got to get through this inspection period. Once we do the inspection period, you don't have to worry about a deposit. And if you can get past it and not make it a big deal, it usually won't be. I find sellers that focus 100% on the deposit, they typically want way too much for the property and they're crazy. Now, the only exception to that rule is if you have an amazing deal and they're offering you like 40, 30 cents on the dollar, maybe 50, and there's nothing wrong with the house, get a hold of me as soon as possible and I'll partner up on that. I'll put up the deposit. I'll put up a $10,000, $20,000 deposit for a home run because they don't come by that often. And when they do, you leave big deposits to make sure nobody messes with your deal. Quite the contrary, when you have a deal that you're not sure about or you're trying to cut your first wholesale, I leave the least amount of deposit as I humanly can.
Yeah.
That's just business. It doesn't mean they're going to accept it and you got to navigate around this. Does that make sense for you?
Yeah, it
So
does.
practice how you give them the speech back about the deposit. Who's getting the deposit? Faith,
The
who's getting it?
title company.
Yeah. So I'm not, the buyer's not getting it, seller's not getting it. So they're fighting for the wrong team. Like until they get past their inspection period, that money goes nowhere. Period. End of story. So with our contracts, your biggest risk is what you leave for deposit for liquidated damages. That's why I don't want you leaving a $5,000 deposit because it could hurt you. So either you have to fund it, you get someone to temporarily fund it, or you hold off to your inspection period and have your cash buyers fund it for you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Does that help you?
Yes, sir. Thank you so
Any
much.
other questions?
Um.
I love your name, by the way. My mother-in-law's name's Faith, but
Oh.
I don't think she's got a lot of faith. I'm sure you got faith. It's a
Okay.
cool name.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a story behind it, right?
No, that's actually not my real name. My real name is Jerusalem, but I don't like it at all.
Okay. Okay.
All
I
right.
still like it either way.
Thank you.
Okay. I appreciate it, Faith. See you.
All
Bye.
right.
Okay. Let me answer some questions. Okay, let's go with this one. Simple answers. Hey, Rick, I've tried multiple times, tried to get a pre-foreclosure list that no one knows what I'm talking about. Call it something else. So let me just clarify this. We say pre-foreclosure in wholesaling because the act of foreclosure is when the courts take the property away and award it to like a bank or whoever's giving the loan on the property. So the technical list you want to ask if you're going to the courthouse is going to be a foreclosure list. And by the way, that is a public record. It is public and it has to be announced to the world, and you should be able to get access to it online and definitely in person. So just ask for a foreclosure list and you're going to go to your county courthouse to get it. That's the one list you should not have a problem getting it. We say pre-foreclosure because until it's foreclosed, it is in a pre-foreclosure situation. And the sooner a seller can reach out to us, the more we can help them out. So good question. Let's see here. I had one other one here. It's been a long day, guys. I got to figure this out. So Leonardo has one here. Hey, Rick, quick question. Subject to loan kept as a personal home. Do you have a servicing company in California that? I don't. You can find a lot of them. And what does he mean is there's a company that will act as an intermediary to make payments to that gives full transparency to the buyer and the seller. They're actually a really good idea. I'm glad you're doing this as a personal loan because the subject twos being sold as wholesale deals are coming under massive scrutiny because there's such bad teachings out there right now and people are getting screwed left and right. So we want to watch out for that. So, okay. What's up, Jonas? What's going on, man? I
Yeah,
didn't want to
what's
leave you
up,
hanging,
Rick?
man. How you doing, man? Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too.
What's going
It's
on?
been it's been a while. Yeah, so I got a pretty great so run it down. Um, they don't want to list it on the market. Just want to get rid of it. They're out of state. Um, and what? Yeah, and the problem I'm having with it is they don't like the inspection period. I got a really good price. But they want certainty, and they think, oh, it's a cash offer. You should only need like maybe 10 days to close. Yeah. So yesterday I sent over the agreement, and he was like, oh, I'm gonna sign it. I just need to get rid of the insurance clause, and then he called me up and like, no, I'm not gonna sign it. And that was Saturday, and now I called him like and just asked him, why didn't you want to move forward? Was it something about the contract? And he told me. So now they said that on Monday their relative is gonna be able to show me the property, and I was thinking that maybe after I got off the phone with them, I was like, oh no, I should have mentioned that I could do a locksmith, like you've said.
Yeah. And just switch out the
Uh,
lock. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, it's also a game of cat and mouse, right?
Yeah, I got
And I
it.
think I've been the cat a lot. So
So, which market is this in, if you don't mind me
uh,
asking?
yeah, Georgia,
Georgia. What city?
Warner
Don't
Robins,
give the address, just the city.
Warner Robins.
Okay. Um, how far is that, near Atlanta, or where is it? Is it on the outskirts, or?
Like 20 minutes from Macon.
Got it. So do you have it on a contract right now?
No,
Oh, he wants to get rid of your inspection period, right?
not get rid, I don't think, but shorten it down quite the amount, like maybe 10-15 days.
And you put on there what, like 30?
60 first.
So try to give him the 30 and you'll be good to go. If you want, like, how good of a deal do you have on it? What's going on with it?
Yeah, so it's a probate, and the it's ARV is 305, and an appraiser said as well. They've had it appraised, and they think that the current value is 270, just because of it's outdated and the AC doesn't work, and he's agreed to 200,000.
So do me a favor, send what you have over to support at Flip with Rick and just send me your contact info. And I'll either look at it tonight or in the morning. I got a bunch of deals I got to work on tonight at 8 o'clock. And let me just try to help you out and see if we can help you tighten up those parameters. So, I mean, if you want help with it, if not, like, you can go back and ask for 30 days. But I know you're doing this virtually, and I know you have challenges with it. But do you have someone locally to help you out with any of this?
No, but I can always find one.
So send me an email, support@flipwithrick.com.
All right.
And then just put Jonas in all caps and probates. And I'll know. You got to put those caps in it because I get hundreds of emails a day.
Yeah.
And I will go in there. Because I just do put a search filter and I'll find it. If I can't find it, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Do that. And then let's get you some answers pretty quickly. And when's the last time you spoke to the seller?
Today, like 2 hours ago.
So let's keep it alive. Send me what you got, and I will give you an answer within 8 to 12 hours here, just depending on what I got to get done here. But like, the more direct, the more information you give me, the better.
Yeah.
Have you had any pictures of the inside of the house? Anything?
No.
Okay. Is the house vacant?
Yeah.
And do you think it's in good shape? Does he tell you it's in good shape?
Yeah. So he told me,
Just
it's outdated and the AC doesn't work, and apparently they've had an appraisal. Like I said, and it's been inspected. He said it was, I brought up like, what if there's termites, to sort of. And he's
So
like,
where are they in the probate process? Did he tell you?
It's finished.
Oh, it's finished. Okay. Send me over what you got, and I'll see what I can help you out with it. Okay. I know you've been busting your ass trying to get this going. So send me as much detail as you can. Support at Flip with Rick, and we'll go from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Rick.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Let me see here. So you guys got a lot of information on what you need to do so you don't get stagnant growth in wholesaling. And guys, I've given you my 21 years of experience doing this. So either make the change or understand it's going to be a problem when you do that. So let me see here. On the bottom, guys, I put my Flip with Rick for any of you guys who want to work with me more directly. We have a community. We only talk about wholesaling, and I can answer questions on an extreme regular basis. So we actually wind up meeting 4 times a week. Nobody else does the amount of intensity we do. Plus, you have the ability to direct message me. So I try to help out as many people as I humanly possibly can. And then, guys, if you wind up sending me a deal, you get Flip with Rick Plus for 1 free year. We do lots of JVs all over the country. I love the people that go out and apply what we teach you over at freewholesaling.com. So if you want to check that out, go to flipwithrickplus.com, and we would love to have you join our community. And guys, as usual, if you got value from this, make sure you smash the like button, you hit the subscribe button. We'll be back on Flip with Rick on Tuesday and Thursdays at 1 o'clock. Make sure you check out my son's channel on zachginn.com. And I'm sorry, Zach Ginn YouTube channel. And guys, that's it, man. I hope you got value from this video, and I'll probably see you in the next few days. Have a good one. See you guys later.